Unacademy. Let's crack it.
Continuation of what you were discussing,
So,
then what are the bottlenecks to further expand medical tourism?
firstly, there is and unrightly so, a perception of India as an unhygienic country, and that hinders our outreach. Secondly, sir, the Heal in India brand has been launched recently, but before this, the medical tourism was being advertised or it was being promoted through the Incredible India Tourism Initiative. So the focus was less, and the JCI accreditation does not match up to the NABH standards, which are our domestic standards. So we have much more domestic NABH accredited hospitals, that is around 564, as compared to JCI accredited, that is 38. So if we can increase that, we will expand medical tourism. And the Prime Minister has recently said that this industry earns $6 billion for us, but he wishes to get it to $15 billion.
But what about our niche was Ayurveda and the natural therapy? Why we have not, as far as tourism is, medical tourism is concerned, why we have not been able to make a dent in that area?
So the Ministry of Tourism last year has come out with a national strategy for medical tourism, and they have also included wellness tourism in this, in which Ayush, naturopathy, and wellness tourism is at the center. We are also receiving many wellness tourists from these sectors. However, the outreach is less, and the double-blind studies and research studies published needs to be increased by traditional medicine so that we can better call for patients in these areas also.
Okay, as a student of anthropology, what has led to the diversity that we see in Indian population today? What are the bases for it?
Sir, with your permission, I would like a few seconds to think about this answer. Thank you, sir.
And perhaps no other country of size of India or no other place has this much diversity as we see it here.
Sir, I believe there are multiple factors why India has this level of diversity. As one of India's prominent anthropologists, Sri M. N. Srinivas, has said, India is a melting pot of races. Historically, there have been a lot of migration from other countries as well as an indigenous population in this region. We have had an Indus Valley civilization from times immemorial. Secondly, sir, there is a lot of geographical diversity from the north to the south and from the east to the west, promoting different forms of cultures. Thirdly, sir, our tradition has been of tolerance, and we have always allowed new cultures and new ideas to flourish.
Okay, my final questions. We all have been hearing for last week or so about this Adani issue.
So,
What has the government to learn from this episode?
sir, I feel the government needs to take some learning, such as the public sector enterprises, when they invest in corporate entities, they must do thorough background checks, because if they lose money, it leads to financial repression of small households, for instance, in the case of LIC or SBI. Moreover, sir, I think we need to have stricter regulation through the SEBI of corporate entities.
It's not there. I mean, do we not have a good regulation?
So we do have good regulatory mechanisms in place, but I'm sure we can improve in that sector as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Shivin,
Sir,
anthropology is your optional,
sir.
but since you have opted for foreign service as the
Sir.
first choice, so some questions from that area. Okay. Can you tell me 6 different distinct phases of Indian foreign policy's evolution since 1947?
So with your permission, I'd like a few seconds to think.
Sure.
So after our independence, we had a nascent phase. Post that, we were a strong champion of the non-aligned movement when we were not with either of the Eastern...
Can you tell me year-wise? Broad.
Sir, I believe from independence till the conference in 1955, I would call it the nascent phase. From 1955 to 1971, I would call it the non-aligned movement phase. In the
What happened in 62?
Sir, in 62, the conference happened, and we also fought a war with China. Sir, in 1971, we signed a treaty of friendship and peace with the Soviet Union. So, sir, I think that was an important moment, as well as the war in 1971 was a watershed.
I would advise you to please read upon it. 6 different phases.
So,
47 to 62 to 71
so thank you,
to 1991 with 74 in between, first nuclear explosion,
sir. So,
to 1998, second explosion,
so
123 agreement with US, and 2014 onwards.
thank you, sir. I'll read
Okay.
up on this.
Yeah. So